God bless everybody else. You can't be sentenced under this law in Florida. There's no more Ketas out there crying. There's no more children out there losing their fathers up under this law. Good morning. So, I really have not been able to sleep. And I'm like thinking maybe it's because, I worked the night shift and my body just stuck on that time frame. But I'm like just steady trying to sleep and I can't fall asleep. I've been doing a little YouTube challenge. It's a challenge I'm a part of, and it's a 7-day boot camp to jumpstart your YouTube. And one of the things that they said that really, touched home was you got to know your why. Why are you trying to do YouTube? And I've always known my why, and I've always expressed my why. And my why has always been because I wanted to put my family back together again. I had a family, and the person that I had my child with and was about to marry was kind of just ripped and snatched out of my life. And for years, I've tried to do all that I can. I've done everything within my power. Every gift that I was given by God, I have used to try to just tell this story, because I feel that he's been wrongfully convicted and excessively sentenced. Okay, I don't want to fight no more about him being innocent. Forget that. Even if you don't think he's innocent, he's doing too much time for what he's been accused of. So, innocent or not, that's way too excessive what he got. So that is my passion behind why I even picked up a microphone, why I even wrote my first verse. I wrote my first verse about him and his situation. And my poem 1020 Life, that was about him. I never wanted to be a rapper. I didn't care to be a rapper. What is rapping gonna gain me? I don't care about money. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't care to have another dollar. That stuff does not matter to me. What I did want was my family. What I did want was to move on from here. I honestly, that's what I was making my music for. And my poems and my artwork, that's why I pick up a paintbrush, because it's always the hope that maybe I might reach that one person that can listen to his story and that can actually maybe help us, because this situation is out of our hands. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching a YouTuber this morning, Nicole. Boy, she come with some real stuff, but she has a whole bunch of knowledge. And the thing is that I was just listening to her, and she was talking about the changes that California is making, like with enhancements and stuff on charges. So that made me think like, dang, I need to figure that out. Is Florida doing anything? Like, did Florida do anything about enhancements? Like over in California, they trying to get all that, trumping up a charge, trying to get rid of that, which is the right thing to do. So I'm like, dang, maybe Florida doing something, because, we just had the election, the primary the other day, and the candidates, they talk about prison reform. Like, I just keep hearing this, and it's almost like a dream to me, because we've been needing this for a long time, and I feel like one voice out of a whole bunch of people, just a whole crowd, endless sea of people yelling, we need reform, and nobody wanted to hear that. And I finally heard the crowd as well behind me saying, hey, we need reform. And it kind of woke me up, like, because I had given up. Because it's like Florida ain't trying to move forward. They're not trying to move forward. We moving backwards. So when there's actually a glimmer of hope that somebody wants to move Florida forward, I'm like, dang. So listening to her made me think, let me figure out what exactly Florida doing for prison reform. So what I'm not finding too much right now, and that's kind of disappointing. Found something like back in like March or February where they had this they had some stuff on the table, and they kind of was like, nah, we ain't going for that. But what I did found, which really intrigued me, I found that they ruled to overturn the 1020 life law. The law that my loved one is sentenced under. 1020 life. Y'all remember my poem, 1020 life? I'm in love with someone, I can't be with it, so hard for me to let go. So I sit and I wait so patiently with the hopes that he will come home. Before I lay down at night, I close my eyes, I pray the Lord sends him home. But when I open my eyes, the fact remains that I'm still all alone. It happened a few years ago. I looked for him, but he was gone now. Please tell me, where did he go? 1020 life, that's all I know. See, the Lord on my side is who keeps me strong. I dread the fact I must move on, but I got my life to lead, and I'm the one that takes care of me. Now the messed up party was snatched from his seed. Now a father and mother I gotta be now, but when it's cold, who gon' hold me now? And who do I talk to when I'm lonely now? See, I'm in love with someone, I can't be with it, so hard for me to let go. So I sit and I wait so patiently with the hopes that he will come home. Before I lay down at night, I close my eyes, I pray the Lord sends him home. But when I open my eyes, the fact remains that I'm still all alone. Yeah, I know you remember that. I've been posting that over a decade. I wrote that over a decade ago. Over a decade. All them songs, they old as heck. I wrote them long ago. Long ago. Wishing and hoping for change. Trying to use my pen, my paintbrush, my hands, my eyes, my everything. Trying to bring about change. Now I'm going to read you what I read from the Miami Herald about 1020 life. Okay, so I got it up on my laptop, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for you so that you can read along with it. This is from the Miami Herald. It says, good riddance to a bad law, 1020 life. It has a picture of an older gentleman. It says his name is Orville Lee Woodard, and he is at Appalachia Correctional Institution, East in Sneads. And he is serving a 20-year sentence for firing a warning shot. And first thing that catches my attention when I see this picture, that was the first facility ever that Marchello went to, was Appalachia Correctional Institution. Every time I used to visit that place, it felt like I was visiting a graveyard. Like just of a dear person. You know, that same feeling I get when I visit my mother at her grave. That's the type of feeling I used to get there. Like I just felt dead and it was cold inside, and that was a horrible place. But it's weird that, you know, this gentleman is pictured here at Appalachia. Okay. This criminal justice reform has been high on the to-do list for state lawmakers, and it's about time. We commend Governor Rick Scott for signing a bill that will bring a touch of humanity and common sense to the state's courtrooms. A new law repeals Florida's 1020 life law, the guide that now sets minimum mandatory sentences for crimes involving a gun. On Wednesday, Governor Rick Scott signed a Senate Bill 228 repealing the too rigid sentencing mandate. It welcomes recognition that the law removed judicial discretion in the sentencing, both hardcore offenders and young, more naive offenders who might deserve a second chance. A tip of the hat, too, goes to sponsors House Representative Katie Edwards, D. Platantian? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And Neil Cumby, R. Pope, and Senators Aaron Bean and R. Jacksonville, and Rob Bradley, R. Orange Park. This is the first real reversal of the state's tough on crime incentives in the late 1990s, coming on the heels of several tourist murders and a booming homicide rate. With the stroke of the governor's pen, here's what changes. New flexibility when sentencing people convicted of gun-involved crimes under the 1020 life law. Judges' hands were tied and they had to hand down a 10-year sentence if someone displayed a gun, a 20-year sentence if someone fired a gun, including cases where the weapon was fired as a warning shot, not at an individual, and 25 years or more if somebody were wounded. There were no exceptions. Now there are. This is a major victory for common sense sentencing reform in Florida. Greg Newbern, State Policy Director for Families Against Mandatory Minimums, said on Thursday. It's also a path away from arbitrary sentencing that overcrowds our prisons. And it allows judges to be judges by giving them discretion to consider mitigating circumstances, not just a blank decision that may ruin a life, more lives than one. I added that in, I'm sorry. And there's no denying that many of those lives have been Black lives. The bill takes effect July 1st, but it does not affect anyone currently incarcerated. But the sad cases of some of those imprisoned under this law led to its repeal. Since 1020 life was enacted, more than 15,000 people have been sentenced under the law. Many bad people have been taken off the streets, but unintended consequences are inherent to mandatory minimums. Mr. Newberg says, no anticipated 1020 life would be used to put citizens in prison for 20 years for warning shots. But that's exactly what happened. Now with all that read, it just leaves me like, what? Okay, reading the law, 10 years was if you just had a gun. And 20 years was if you fired the gun. And it was life. If anything happened to somebody, if anybody got shot, anything happened, it's life. So now under this law, can anybody tell me why Marchello got 40 years? 40. Now, number one, the weapon that they said that he had, they never recovered. Number two, in all accounts of all testimonies, there was no gun fired. They said it was a gun present, but it was not fired. And they don't have it. Why did they jump from 10 years from having the gun? If you're going to charge him, he should have got only 10 years because you say he had a gun. And it was 20 for being discharged, but it was never said to be discharged. How do you skip the 10, the 20, and you jump to, really the judge said he wanted to give him life, but so that he will have a second chance one day, he's going to only give him 40 years. How do you jump 10, the 20, and you jump to 40? For real? And now, God bless everybody else. You can't be sentenced under this law in Florida. There's no more Ketas out there crying. There's no more children out there losing their fathers up under this law. But like it says, it doesn't retroact. So it ain't for me. That's crazy. But it also proves my point. He was overly sentenced.